Hey guys, this is my 1986 Yamaha Moto 4200. This thing has a long list of modifications, as you can probably start to see just by looking at it. Besides a little JB Weld patch there. First off with this Yamaha, I bought this for $200, total piece of crap. Plastics were pink, it was missing parts, it didn't turn over, wouldn't start, no spark, nothing. I've spent over a year restoring and modifying this thing to its proper and former glory. It first started off as kind of a learning thing, but it's gone to much more than that. This thing didn't run at all. The electrical system was completely crapped up, and I ended up redoing the entire thing on it basically to get all the electrical system working. When it finally did work, when it first started, it had about 40 psi for the compression, which was really low, and it leaked oil very badly out of this area right here, where it was missing a gasket and a bolt, and it blew clouds of smoke. Not just normal amounts of smoke, it was clouds. It was literally like a James Bond smoke screen. And so what I ended up doing was having to get the engine rebuilt, and I originally thought that I would be able to just get a bigger size, oversized piston in the ring, but I found out it was so bad I needed to bore it out. So bored it out probably about 5 cc, not much, but enough to get it done. Got another piston, some new rings, rebuilt the whole engine. While it was out, I took the head off and pulled the valves and did a 3 millimeter port and polish to both exhaust and to the intake to help the engine breathe, run, and perform better. And while I was at it, the exhaust, I don't know how well you can see that, but the muffler on it was bored out as well and drilled out basically, because it's very hard to find parts for this specific gear in aftermarket. So it's allowed it to breathe easier, to let out the exhaust much quicker and better. Also, along with that, you can't tell, but it was missing the whole air filter element. I ended up making this back to it right there, but since it was missing that, I ended up creating a uni air filter performance intake out of some pipe, JB Weld, and the new air filter, of course, and that has definitely freed it up from the stock one, which was awful. Did not work at all, but it works much better now to breathe and get air. The whole thing has been repainted, as you can tell. I sanded the whole thing down, used some paint thinner and cleaned it all up with that. Primed it, bought some high quality automotive paint and some 2-part, it's almost like an epoxy type of clear coat. So it's a pretty tough finish. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's tough. It'll get the job done. I've got the key broke on it, and instead of buying a new key switch for $60-80, bought a key switch for it, which is much cheaper, and I personally like it a lot better. I've also had to upgrade a lot of the engine. It's got a fuel filter because I just think it's better to have one in the first place. Some fuel lines, and then also the racks and the wheels, as you might be able to tell, are bedlined, while the inside is got a hard enamel. The bedliner, I really like it. It's much tougher than just paint. It will come off. It's Rust-Oleum. I personally like the Duplicolor better, but it's what they had, and I really like how it's worked out and the finish gives it. And I think it's lasted pretty well, and it's really easy to touch up if it chips off. I've also got a whole bunch of some custom vinyls cut out for it that I put on there, and it's had a lot of work done. I don't know, this is more recent. It's not as nice, but it's got a switch there. Controls a underglow type brake light on it, which these never came with, so now it has a brake light when you use the foot pedal, which is a lot better for stopping and slowing down so people can tell. Speaking of lighting, I used to have the normal incandescent one on it, but I didn't like it because it was not bred at all. And so I, of course, went much farther and I upgraded the electrical system, because originally it just ran a charging wire right off the engine, off the stator. And so instead I ran that coil into the rectifier, so the battery charges a lot quicker now when it has the light on, in such a way. So that way also I've had to change it, and I've tapped in the light switch, so it's got 12 volts at all times instead to power the light bar. So that way, instead of running off 3, 6 volts, whatever it was, while running, it now has a full 12 volts at all time. And so that has been wired in, so it's an individual power switch, so it can be turned on with that off, which probably isn't the greatest thing, but I'm fine with that how it is. Along with that, the old taillight was missing parts, and it's really annoying to try to just find parts for the taillight. You have to buy it as a whole thing, which I didn't want to. So I went and bought these. It's just a little lights, LED taillight I bought from AutoZone. Fit perfectly right on, didn't have to do any adjustments or mods to it. Goes on great. I actually bought 2 of them. The second one is right there, which you can tell is the brake light. Let's see if I can get it to turn on for you here. Just a sec. I don't know if you can see that or not, but turns on when I press the pedal, which is nice. So the lighting in the electrical system, as you can tell, it's got a lot of different mods to it, so it'll work better, and it charges really well when riding in it, because the rectifier doesn't go past the exceeded voltage. Also, when I was redoing this, I was going to buy a light rack, but this was just better and kind of, it's not permanent, it's temporary for now. But at the time, because normally the neutral and reverse light mounted onto the light, I've relocated them to right there on the plastics instead. I personally think that looks much cooler. It's not the greatest finish around that area. I could probably fix it up a bit, but it gets the job done, and it looks a whole lot better. Also recently I went through and I got the shocks done. So the shocks are now red to match it. This used to be all like a turquoise and gold and yellow, and it's really ugly. I didn't really like it, so I redid it all red, and I think that's much better. I really like that. It's got a long list of things done to it. It does need a new starter relay. The starter relay went bad on it, and you can hear it when I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear it, and it just needs to be replaced, and besides that, this thing is perfect. I'll start it up for you here in a second, but I believe that is all the mods I've had done to it. It has quite a few little goodies. I've thought about widening it about 3 inches on each side, because it is actually a pretty skinny quad, and I thought, what the heck, why not widen it? But it does fine how it is, and it spits up a lot of mud already, because I've taken off the front mud guards. But it's a great machine. It's light, and I really like to have it and ride it around. It's a blast. It rips on the trails. Just a little bit of gas in it will send you flying around a corner. It's a lot of fun. So I'm just going to start it up for you here. I can get the camera right. Let me just put it right here instead. Yeah, that's better. As long as you can see that. I really like how it sounds. It's got a nice exhaust sound to it. It's probably annoying putting it right there, but it's got a nice deep sound. As you can tell, the engine is it revs really well. It's very quick. It'll get you off, and every single time you punch on the throttle, it'll lift you up a bit, and if you want wheelies, it'll do wheelies. It's a great machine for that. And I love it for how it is. It's built tough. It'll go anywhere that a four-wheel drive will go. I've had no problems with it on following four-wheel drive four-wheelers ever. I've never gotten stuck in it through mud pits, rock crawling. It's great. It's the shaft drive to rear-wheel drive. I love it. It's a great quad. I'll probably be selling it soon, unfortunately. I think that's really about it. It's got custom reupholstered seat because it was missing that when I bought it because it really was a piece of junk. And I think that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this, and thank you for watching.